Lakeland Public Television's Common Ground is brought to you by the Minnesota Arts and Cultural Heritage Fund.
My name is Kevin Helblad. I am a local farmer and sawmill operator here in the Somme community. We are putting up hay today. We're taking a step back in time, 40-some years. This 1936 WC Allis Chamlers tractor with a farmhand loader and a hay bucker on it is what we used on this farm to put up hay when I was a young child and up through my teenage years. And it sat in a shed for 33 years, and we have resurrected it just to have a fun day on the farm, just to hay the old way, so that we probably will end up appreciating the modern, easier ways. This tractor, my father bought it when I was very young, and it was actually local. It was a neighbor that he bought it from, a man by the name, we knew him as Tiny Martin. His name was actually Lawrence Martin, and he had used it also for stacking hay and other farm projects on his farm. And he farmed with a man by the name of Keith Kistner up 3 miles to the north here. My dad had 3 other tractors that were used for other general farm duties at the time. This tractor was basically only used on this farm for stacking hay. That's really all we used it for. Years later, it's getting to try it again. I credit my father, who was very history-minded, very had an eye for things that someone would appreciate years down the road. He instilled that in me as a young man, that as times change, someday we may wish to look back and appreciate some of the way things were done, just for comparison, if nothing else. And that's kind of where I'm at. I have all kinds of these kind of projects going that just the history of it intrigues me, and just for fun. We have another project. We have resurrected the potato planter, the potato cultivator, and the potato digger that my grandfather actually used on this farm. And my youngest daughter and I, 3 years ago, resurrected that equipment, put new tongues and replaced wooden parts, and we have been using them in planting and cultivating and digging potatoes with them. Just had our own little side potato project, just for fun. And it's mostly it just brings back that sense of nostalgia, and besides, when you use that old equipment, the potatoes taste better. I would say that new equipment is wonderful. The sense of efficiency, the overall highly competitive thing. If a person needs to put up X tons of hay, you need to be able to do that in a relatively short period of time, versus like in the days when this was used, it put up hay for 40 cows versus say 200. And you're not going to put up hay with something like this for 200, but it still has a sense of purpose. It brings back to the roots of purpose. But yes, I think it's wonderful for these young gentlemen, even though they're the ones in the stack, I'm sure they're gaining an appreciation for loading bales with the loader and not touching that hay virtually through the process of putting it up in a more modern, efficient way. Well, in this community, people are not that far removed. The young people are, but the older people, some of the older farming techniques aren't that far away in this community. But I think there's a great lesson for young people that grew up in a city, and they think their milk comes from the grocery store, those kind of things. A sense of understanding of the downright hard work that people put into agricultural production in the past. And that's really a biggest thing that the modern agricultural system, of putting up hay, raising cereal, grains, those kind of things in northern Minnesota, where we don't have a lot of real, not like lettuce crops or very high labor-intensive crops, is the labor factor is so different, versus 50, 60 years ago. The labor factor for putting up hay was, similar to growing lettuce, and some of the other hand crops that are utilized in other places in the country or grown in other places. I really think the biggest thing is it's just a good exercise to do something for fun once in a while and take it as it comes, whether it goes the way we like it to or not.
If you enjoyed this segment of Lakeland Public Television's Common Ground, consider making a contribution at lptv.org. If you have segment ideas pertaining to North Central Minnesota, contact us at legacy@lptv.org. Common Ground is funded by the Minnesota Arts and Cultural Heritage Fund by the vote of the people on November 4th, 2008.